Last month I went in for my annual checkup. You know the kind. Blood work, blood pressure, the whole lot. My doctor looked at the results, then looked at me, then looked back at the results. He said, "What are you doing differently? Your numbers are significantly better than last year." I laughed and said, "Every morning I eat a small cup of little blueberries." He raised an eyebrow. I smiled and said, "Blueberries, mate." Now I imagine some of you just chuckled. I did too at first. But here I am, and I want to tell you exactly what those little blueberries have changed in my life. Because if you're anything like me, if your knees ache when you get out of bed in the morning, if you lie awake at midnight with your brain refusing to switch off, or if you walk into the kitchen and stand there thinking, "Now what on earth did I come in here for?" then I'd like you to stay with me until the end of this video. I'm not selling you anything. I'm not telling you to swap your medications for fruit. I'm just telling you my story. And maybe, just maybe, it'll mean something to you too. I'm 68 years old. Originally from Manchester. Been living in the States for going on 22 years now. Retired a few years back. Spent most of my working life in engineering. Then moved into project management. My wife and I settled in Florida, which the joints appreciate, I'll tell you that much. We've got grandchildren nearby. Life is good. But when I hit 65, things started shifting in ways I hadn't quite expected. Getting out of bed in the mornings felt like negotiating with my own body. Stairs were a project. And the thing that bothered me most, the thing that felt like a proper insult, was the memory business. I'd walk from the lounge into the kitchen, stop dead, and have absolutely no idea why I'd gone in there. My wife thought it was hilarious. I did not. "You're getting older, love," she'd say. "It's perfectly normal." And I believed her, for a while. Then a friend of mine brought it up over a round of golf. He's 70, retired school teacher, sharp as a tack. He said, "I've been eating a cup of blueberries every morning for the past 6 months. I'm telling you, something's different." I looked at him. "You're telling me fruit sorted you out?" He just shrugged and said, "Don't knock it till you've tried it." So I thought, right, what have I got to lose? Worst case, I eat a nice bowl of fruit for a few weeks. That was 10 months ago. And I'm here to tell you what happened. But here's what I'll say before I get into it. The first change I noticed, I put down to coincidence. The second one, I wrote down in my notebook. The third one, I brought up with my doctor. Keep watching, I'll walk you through all of them. But first, let's understand what we're actually dealing with here. What is a blueberry, and why is it getting so much attention? These small, dark blue fruits, you can find them fresh, frozen, or dried in any supermarket here in the States, and they're wonderfully easy to come by. They happen to be one of the most studied foods in nutritional science right now. And the reason for that comes down to a compound called anthocyanin. That's what gives blueberries their deep blue-purple color, and it acts like a powerful scavenger inside your body, hunting down the free radicals, the harmful molecules that accumulate over decades and gradually damage your cells, your tissues, your organs. On top of that, blueberries are loaded with vitamin C, vitamin K, fiber, and potassium, and crucially, they're low in sugar. Even people managing type 2 diabetes can often enjoy them in modest amounts. But here's the part that really got my attention. Research suggests that the benefits of blueberries become more pronounced as we get older. We're not just eating the right thing, we're eating it at exactly the right time in our lives. Now, that first change, it was around week 3 or 4. My wife and I were having dinner, and I was telling her about a game I'd played with our grandson that afternoon. I was rattling off details, what we talked about, what he said, what made him laugh. She looked at me with this slightly surprised expression and said, "You've been remembering things much better lately." And I sat back and thought about it. She was right. Those moments of walking into a room and going completely blank, they hadn't disappeared, but they'd become noticeably less frequent. I put it down to coincidence, moved on. But the science, as it turns out, is quite compelling. The anthocyanins in blueberries increase blood flow to the brain. They support communication between brain cells and have been shown in multiple studies to improve short-term memory, particularly in older adults. So that foggy, "Where did I put my glasses?" feeling isn't necessarily the inevitable price of getting older. The brain responds to what we feed it. That's a genuinely hopeful thought. The second change, the one I wrote down. I woke up one morning, swung my legs off the bed, stood up, and took a few steps, and I noticed something was different. My knees didn't feel like they were made of old hinges. That familiar stiffness, that heavy, grinding feeling when you first start moving. It was there, but it was noticeably lighter. I actually went and got my little notebook and wrote, "Knees less stiff this morning, easier to get going." The following week I wrote the same thing. The week after that I mentioned it to my wife. Here's why this happens. Blueberries are a natural anti-inflammatory, and as we age, chronic low-grade inflammation becomes one of the biggest contributors to the aches, the stiffness, the creaking. That morning soreness, the discomfort on the stairs, the heaviness in your hips after a long walk. A significant part of that is inflammation. The compounds in blueberries help bring that down. It's not dramatic overnight, but over weeks and months, the difference is real. It certainly was for me. The third change is the one I took to my doctor, because this one surprised me the most. Sleep. For years, falling asleep had been a challenge. I'd get into bed, close my eyes, and my brain would simply refuse to cooperate. Running through the day, planning tomorrow, replaying conversations. My wife would be out within minutes. I'd be lying there an hour later, staring at the ceiling. But after several weeks of eating blueberries, I noticed I was falling asleep faster. And more importantly, I was waking up feeling like I'd actually slept. I brought it up with my doctor almost apologetically. "I know this sounds odd, but I think the blueberries are affecting my sleep." He didn't laugh. He explained that blueberries contain magnesium and vitamin B6, both of which help calm the nervous system and support the production of melatonin, our sleep hormone. So the effect on sleep isn't a fluke, it's biochemistry. And I want to stop here for a moment and ask you something. How many hours are you sleeping? Do you wake up feeling rested? Or have you spent years writing it off as just part of getting older? Because I think a lot of us do that. We accept things as inevitable that perhaps aren't as inevitable as we think. Now the fourth thing, and I want you to take this one seriously. Heart health. At our age, cardiovascular health is one of the most important things we can be paying attention to. Studies have shown that regular blueberry consumption can help lower blood pressure, reduce LDL cholesterol, that's the bad kind, and keep blood vessel walls flexible and responsive. My own numbers reflected this. When my doctor said my results had improved significantly, part of that picture was my blood pressure and cholesterol. I'm not crediting it all to blueberries, of course. Sleep, movement, eating reasonably well, all of it plays a role. But blueberries were the main thing I'd added. And the timing lines up. There's one more thing I want to mention, and it's a bit more personal. I'm an active person. I play golf. I do some gardening. I chase my grandchildren around the garden, which is more of a workout than it sounds, and I've noticed I recover better. Less soreness after a long day outside. Less fatigue after a round of golf. Research supports this too. The antioxidants in blueberries help reduce muscle fatigue and assist with recovery after physical activity. So this isn't just about managing illness. It's about keeping ourselves genuinely active and capable of doing the things we love. Now I imagine you're wondering, how much? How do I eat them? Do I have to do it every single day? Here's what works for me. Every morning, roughly 1 cup. That's about 130 to 150 grams, maybe 80 to 100 individual berries. I put them on top of Greek yogurt. Sometimes I add a little cinnamon. Some mornings I throw them into my porridge. It takes no time at all. That's it. That's the whole thing. If you can't find fresh blueberries, frozen are absolutely fine. The freezing process preserves the nutritional content remarkably well. I keep a bag in the freezer at all times. In the winter months, when fresh berries are harder to come by, or more expensive, frozen is my go-to, without any hesitation. Now, a word of caution, and I say this genuinely, not to hedge. If you're on blood thinners, particularly warfarin, please talk to your doctor first. Blueberries contain vitamin K, which can interact with that medication. If you have kidney disease, be mindful of the potassium content. And if you're managing diabetes, keep it to 1 cup a day and monitor your response. These are real considerations. Outside of those, for most healthy people over 65, blueberries are exceptionally safe and exceptionally good for you. I want to finish with this. There's a tendency, when you reach a certain age, to start assuming that decline is just the deal. That the aching joints, the foggy mornings, The restless nights. That's just what life looks like now. I believed that for a while. I think a lot of us do. But the truth is, our bodies are still responding to what we give them. At 68, my body responded to a cup of blueberries every morning. The brain fog lifted a little. The knees loosened up. The sleep improved. The blood work got better. None of this happened overnight. But over 10 months, it added up to something I notice every single day. My doctor asked me what I was doing differently. I told him. He didn't prescribe blueberries, and I'm not prescribing them to you. But I am telling you this. Small, consistent choices matter more than we give them credit for. And a cup of blueberries in the morning is about as small and as consistent as it gets. If you found this useful, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep talking about exactly this kind of thing. Staying healthy, staying active, staying sharp after 65. Because this chapter of life is worth showing up for properly. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.